Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. Happy Tuesday. Happy Wednesday. I hope you had a great start of the week. Um, all right. Last week, the biggest news in geopolitics was, well, actually, last weekend, the biggest news was Joe Biden's withdrawal and the death of Vietnamese leader. Both events created enormous pressure on the Chinese leader Xi Jinping, who is battling the rumor about his health. So today we'll first discuss the power instability within the CCP leadership based on the official statement of the CCP's third plenum. Then I'll give you an update on the rumor about Xi's having a stroke. So the question is, does she have a body double, or was it a malicious rumor, perfectly timed to insult Xi? And then we'll discuss why Xi Jinping reacts to the Vietnamese leader, to his death. Last but not least, I know this is what you guys care the most. What does Biden's withdrawal mean to the CCP? So we have a lot of content ahead of us. So let's get started. The much delayed but highly anticipated CCP's third plenum is over, and Xi Jinping's position in the central leadership isn't as strong as he wants us to believe. Why do I say that? Well, based on the session's official statement that was issued, it no longer prominently glorifies or highlights, if I want to use a neutral word, it no longer prominently highlights Xi Jinping. After the second, can you guys hear me? Yes? All right? No? Good evening? Okay? Yes. Okay, all right. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I start to worry about my audio. Yes, you guys can hear me? Okay, good. All right, thank you, Peter. All right, good. Never was. Okay, good. Wow, Mrs. Reed. Okay, excellent. Thank you, guys. Texas Panda, welcome. Welcome to my program. All right, where was I? Okay, so we're talking about the official statement from the third plenum. When we compare it to the statement from the second plenum, there are some differences. Well, the official statement from the second plenum, which was held in, I think, February 2023. That statement said something like this. It says the CCP Central Committee, with Xi Jinping at its core, had prioritized or has prioritized deepening party and state institutional reforms as crucial for modernizing governance, achieving historic accomplishments. So the above standard text emphasizing one, Xi Jinping at the core or as the core and his historic accomplishments were omitted from the third plenum official statement. And the statement only acknowledged the work of the Politburo without specifically praising Xi Jinping's leadership. And also, when discussing reforms, the statement mentioned Xi Jinping's, quote, series of new ideas, new viewpoints, and new judgments on reforms. Now, the word new is very interesting and creative by CCP's standard because it's neither positive nor negative, right? And say something, it's new. You don't know whether you mean positive or negative. So that's very interesting. And in the lengthy statement of over 5,000 words, Xi Jinping was mentioned only 6 times, which was fewer than the previous statements. These subtle changes suggest some instability in Xi's core position as the CCP leader. More importantly, like I mentioned in my last live stream, I told you a Xinhua editorial titled Xi Jinping the Reformer was completely removed from the internet one day after it was published, right? So all of these hint at the underlying tensions within the leadership, indicating that Xi Jinping could not completely silence internal questioning voices. Now, so that's my first topic, which is I just want to give you a background so you understand the significance of the third plenum is that it appears to me or to some other observers that Xi's power within the central leadership has been weakened. Now let's talk about the most dramatic development in CCP politics surrounding the third plenum, which was the rumor that Xi had a stroke on day one of the session. I had already analyzed the rumor for you in my previous live stream. What I want to give you is an update. The rumor appeared more real when news of the Vietnamese leader, let me try to pronounce his name because I know how to say it in Chinese. I'm not quite sure how to say it in Vietnamese or English. It's Nguyen Phu Trong, Nguyen Phu Chun. Nguyen Phu Chun is the Chinese. Now, English, I think it's Nguyen Phu Trong. Okay. So Yuan's death, when his death, news about his death came out, people quickly noticed that the CCP's Central Committee issued an official condolence to the Vietnamese Communist Party, while Xi Jinping didn't issue a personal statement. And this was very unusual because Xi has always, he liked to issue personal statement. He has had a pattern of offering personal condolences to the passing of other dignitaries, and particularly the passing of communist leaders in other countries, because there aren't that many right, left. So the absence of his personal statement last Friday further validated the claim that he had a stroke. Then on Saturday, Xinhua released a 4-minute video of Xi Jinping visiting the Vietnamese embassy in Beijing to pay tribute to the late Vietnamese leader. And he was accompanied by Politburo Standing Committee member Cai Qi and Foreign Minister Wang Yi. So let me play you that video. It has no audio. I mean, even in the original video, there was no live audio. It was voiceover. So even though the visual showed him talking to, I think, the Vietnamese ambassador at the embassy, but there was no actual audio, so we couldn't tell if it was his voice. But before I play the video, I want to tell you, even after this 4-minute video, was aired, the rumor persisted. Some believe the news clip was fake. People holding this view include well-respected China expert. I have a picture of her. Yeah, you know her, Cai Xia, right? Who is a princeling and a dissident, Professor Cai Xia, who taught at the CCP's Central Party School, and she's now living in the U.S. and she's critical of Xi Jinping and the CCP. So she holds the view that this video somehow is not real. So some people believe it was Xi's body double. And they say the man appeared slimmer and more agile. The man moved with more agility. Like, for example, when they show him going upstairs, Xi Jinping would typically hold on to the rail when he walks, yeah. But this man did not. Anyways, some say his handwriting is also different, but I will just play the clip and let you see. I watched the video. Do you guys see the video? Let me start from the very beginning. I'm not going to play the full clip. Okay, so here it is. I watched the clip many times and found the man has lost some weight, but he does look like Xi Jinping. You guys can decide for yourself. Yeah, the video is, he does look a little taller and skinnier. It looks like he has lost some weight, but if it's a body double, it has to be a very good one because he does look like Xi himself. And here's the handwriting that he left, and here's the meeting at the embassy. So I'll stop the clip here because that's the remainder of the video is just showing the two of them talking without audio, so we don't know what they were saying. So let me stop there. Let me just stop there. I mean, it zoomed in a little. Let's see. Maybe, yeah, maybe I'll play a little bit longer. So he was talking. His Tai Chi, motionless, and Wang Yi and other CCP officials. Okay, I'll stop because the rest of the footage is, I mean, you can find this online. What I want to show you is the handwriting, because people say the handwritings look different. So I compare. On the right is what he wrote this past Saturday. It says July 20th. And I compare it with the note he wrote in 2016 when he paid tribute to the Cuban leader, Fidel Castro. And that was on the left. He wrote essentially the same thing in Chinese, except that the names were different and was a little short. But it's essentially the same message. The dates are different, but the message is essentially the same. I'm not a what do you call that? A graphologist. So I can't say for sure if they are written by two different individuals. The styles do look slightly different to me. The handwriting on the left from 8 years ago was softer and more fluid, whereas the one on the right was more forceful, a little bit more rigid. But you can consult a graphologist on this to see if it's written by the same person. If they say the handwritings are from two individuals, then the man we saw Saturday, or the man we saw in the video, was Xi's body double. If not, then it is Xi Jinping himself. Here are more handwriting. Now here's another handwriting. So on the left is the signature. He left his name when he signed the guest book in November 15th, 2023 in San Francisco, when he met with President Biden in an estate. I forgot the name of the estate in San Francisco, or in the suburb of San Francisco. So that when he signed his name, that's his signature. And then on the right, I circled, when he signed his name on Saturday. So here's another comparison of his signature. And here are more. Here are some of his handwritings from early years. People can figure out, for themselves if they think it's written by the same person. I don't know. I think they look slightly different, but it's hard to say. A person's signature may change, but we need to consult a professional. So anyway, decoding the rumor isn't my point today, because this program isn't about the rumor. Let me come back. I think I need to come back. All right. Whether she had a stroke or not isn't important anymore, because even if it's not true, which is probably the case, because I do have a feeling that the person we saw in the video is Xi Jinping himself, even though his handwriting has changed over time. So even though the rumor was not true, it doesn't matter anymore, because the damage has been done. The damage to Xi Jinping has been done. So now let me talk about why Xi Jinping reacts to Nguyen Phu Trong's death, right? before that, I want to say after Nguyen Phu Trong's death, Joe Biden announced he would not seek re-election. So these two events present two significant challenges to Xi Jinping. Both of these two events are about heads of state's health, and the rumor was perfectly timed when these two events took place, as if the creator of the rumor knew that the combination of all three events can be deadly to Xi Jinping's grip on power. So now with that in mind, let's now talk about why Xi Jinping reacted to Nguyen Phu Trong's death so much. So he died on July 19th. He was the Secretary General of the Vietnamese Communist Party. He passed away at the age of 80. His passing has had a great impact on Xi Jinping. The next day, Xi Jinping visited the Vietnamese embassy to mourn Yuan. Now, I just want to give you some comparisons. Comparatively, when Iranian president, let me pronounce his name right, Ibrahim Raisi, when he died in a helicopter crash in May, the CCP sent Politburo member Li Hongzhong, not even Politburo Standing Committee member, only a Politburo member, to the Iranian embassy to offer condolences. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in September 22, then Vice President of China, Wang Qishan, went to the British embassy in Beijing on behalf of the Chinese government. So Xi Jinping's personal visit to the Vietnamese embassy this time seemed very special. Well, other than the urgent need to show the public that he's wealthy and alive, there are other reasons, or if that were the case, if that were his intention, there's another reason why mourning Yuan, the Vietnamese leader, is so important to Xi. This is because Yuan, or the deceased Vietnamese leader, and Xi Jinping shared many similarities. First of all, they're both leaders of communist states, there aren't many left right now in the world. And they both hold the position of Secretary General of their respective Communist Party. So Yuan's passing made Xi feel like he lost an old friend. And he did address the Vietnamese leader as an old friend and a good friend when he visited Vietnam last year. This time at the Vietnamese embassy, Xi Jinping addressed him as a magnificent friend, 伟大的朋友, right? A magnificent friend. Secondly, so that's the first similarity. Secondly, like Xi Jinping, Yuan also sought a third term. And his rule overlapped with that of Xi. Nguyen Phu Trong became the General Secretary of the Vietnamese Communist Party and the Secretary of the Central Military Commission in 2011, just 1 year ahead of Xi, becoming his party's leader. And in 2021, Yuan assumed a third term as Secretary General, also breaking the two-term limit like Xi Jinping. And the third similarity between the two is that the Vietnamese leader also conducted sweeping anti-corruption campaigns in the party and took out many leaders and subordinates. And just like Xi, the late Vietnamese leader took down people he trusted and installed into positions. Yuan removed two of his successors. The first was Nguyen Phu, who became prime minister in 2016 and then later as president of Vietnam in 2021. He ranked second in the party and was seen as Nguyen Phu Trong's successor. However, in January 2023, Nguyen Phu, I know that's a lot of names for you, a lot of names for me too. So basically, his perceived successor resigned from all positions due to corruption. So he was then succeeded by another guy by the name of Vo Van Tuan. Am I pronouncing it right? Okay, and so Vo entered it was the youngest member of the Politburo. However, Vo resigned in March 2024 due to alleged party rule violations. And because of these similarities, the sudden death of the Vietnamese leader forced Xi Jinping to react amid boiling health rumors, because his political opponents, as well as the Chinese public, are thinking the forbidden question, well, what if something happens to Xi Jinping? And Xi's situation is worse than that of the deceased Vietnamese leader. This is because after the Vietnamese leader's second successor was sacked, which was May 2024. It was only, no, it was, yeah, and it was May. So it was only, 2 months ago. Politburo member and Minister of Public Security, his name is Tu Lam, became the president of Vietnam. And following Nguyen's death on July 19th, To Lam assumed the role of acting general secretary of the party and secretary of the Central Military Commission. So Vietnam at least has some power segregation where the president is played by a different leader, right? The role of the presidency is played by somebody else. In China, Xi Jinping assumes all three roles: the head of the party, the head of the military, and the head of the country. So if something happens to him, it can only get very ugly. Okay, so I just gave you the reason why the passing of the Vietnamese leader was very important to Xi Jinping, other than the fact that he needed a public event to show up. Now let's talk about Joe Biden's withdrawal. The CCP has been closely monitoring the US election. Xinhua has been reporting Trump's nomination at the RNC and his selection of J.D. Vance as his running mate. It has also, the CCP media has also been closely following the possibility of Biden's withdrawal from the election. And as soon as Biden's announcement was made, Xinhua news agency quickly responded with 3 articles. And they're titled, 1, Biden announces withdrawal and endorses Harris. Number 2, 3 questions on Biden's withdrawal. And number 3 is Biden's withdrawal again exposes the grim reality of American politics. And I'll read you excerpts from this article. So it said something like this, which isn't terribly bad. I mean, I don't want to sound like the CCP media is credible, but I read, a couple of articles from the Xinhua about what has been happening in the U.S. in the U.S. election, and it's not that bad. I'm not defending them, but I'm just telling you, I have to be honest with what people say. I cannot be jaded, right, in my opinion. So this is what it says. It says, okay, I'm reading you the quote. Biden's withdrawal once again exposes the prioritization of party interests and the money-driven nature of U.S. elections. The New York Times chief White House correspondent, Peter Baker, stated that, I didn't verify the names, I'm just going by what they say, stated that Democratic leaders were alarmed by Biden's poor polling and threats from angry donors to withdraw campaign funds, which would impact the party's overall electoral interests. Biden's long-term advisor, Ron Klein, admitted on social media that donors and lawmakers pushed Biden out. In contrast, Republican nominee Trump leads in multiple polls, with significant donations rolling in, highlighting the reality and ruthlessness of the money game in U.S. elections. And then goes on to say, Biden's withdrawal is another summer surprise in this year's U.S. election. On July 13, Trump was shot and injured at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. While the investigation is ongoing, some Republicans have blamed the incitement from Democrats. From the Capitol Hill riot to Trump's attack, political violence in the US has escalated, with politicians and the public deeply divided on most issues. Ian Bremmer, president of the political risk consultancy company called Eurasia Group, stated that Americans' willingness to use political violence might be at its highest since the Civil War. The Trump attack is the worst event of politically polarized America and may signal more political violence in the future. I mean, I've read many horrible pieces from Xinhua. I mean, it's obviously written with a hidden agenda, but it quoted all Americans, it quoted Americans. So anyways, I just read you what Xinhua said. Now, Xinhua News Agency doesn't have the liberty to make comments on US politics without the directions from higher ups. So its quick coverage on Biden's withdrawal indicates previously approved directives. I think the CCP leadership wants to showcase the division in America, right? A division in American politics in the 2024 US election. News of Joe Biden's withdrawal from the November presidential election quickly trended and topped the lists in China. It continued to hold the top position. On Monday morning, so its Monday morning is only our Sunday night, which is not long after the announcement came out. So on Monday morning, Chinese hashtags containing Biden withdrawals occupied top 4 spots on China's social media platform, Weibo, right? Because Chinese hashtags could have various, variations of the term Biden withdrawals. So the top 4 spots all contained Biden withdrawals on Chinese Weibo. By Monday evening, the topic Biden withdrawals had reached 480 million views. Now, promoting Joe Biden's withdrawal is a double-edged sword to the CCP or to Xi Jinping, because Chinese netizens are quick to draw comparisons to their leaders' lack of a succession mechanism or to their government's lack of succession mechanism. And also, it reminds them of their leaders' possible poor health. Joe Biden's quitting the election sparked the discussion among the Chinese about whether their leader could voluntarily step down like Joe Biden. We know the likelihood of CCP leader voluntarily stepping down is almost non-existent. However, the animated discussions about American politics were trending among the Chinese because, the government endorsed, allowed it, right? And some asked very poignant questions. So, for example, I saw one question that asked, how did the gunshot hit Trump but knocked down Biden? And someone else asked, so what exactly is an election? So, these questions, what is an election? Once you start explaining what an election is, the answer is not something that CCP wants to see, on Chinese internet. And also terms such as assassination attempt and coup d'etat. By the way, coup d'etat was the term that AOC, the progressive congresswoman from New York, she used the term coup when describing Biden's being forced out by his party heavyweights, right? So these terms, when the Chinese are discussing all of this, these terms, or the Chinese discussions over these terms, assassination attempt against, that's related to Trump, and then also coup d'etat against Biden, sting the ears of the Chinese leader. But his people can't do anything because it's it's already out. They had previously approved the publicity to talk about U.S. election. So Joe Biden's dropping out of the 2024 race due to health issues once again put the same question in front of the Chinese public and Xi Jinping's political enemies. What if something happens to Xi Jinping? Should there be a succession plan? Now, aside from the impact on domestic politics, I think I want to turn around and talk about the impact. So what I want to talk about is, how does Beijing react to Kamala Harris replacing Joe Biden in a match against Donald Trump? And I watched several China experts discussing this. Most of them agree that Harris will inherit Biden's China policy. So therefore, even the CCP leaders understand this. So on that front, they don't worry as much about this swap of candidate. One expert gave her insight into who CCP prefers as the leader in the White House. And this is by a Chinese-Canadian writer and journalist. Her name is Ramona Shen, who works for Radio Free Asia and the German media. I think it's Deutsche Welle. Am I pronouncing it right? DW. So she offered her opinion in an interview. It was 2 days ago. It was, I think it was Saturday, or maybe Sunday morning. It was before Biden announced officially announced his withdrawal. But in 4 minutes, she explained why the CCP prefers a Democrat winning the election and took control of the White House. And I think she explained it quite eloquently. So I want to play you the 4-minute video with translation. And where is it? Here it is. Hold on.
任何来自于民主党的候选人，如果能够打败川普的话，对他们来说更重要。
Hold on, let me start from the very beginning.
我觉得其实对中共来讲，可能呢，任何来自于民主党的候选人，如果能够打败川普的话，对他们来说更重要。因为从历史上来看呢，其实中共应该说对民主党的整个架构是比较熟悉、比较了解。那么对民主党的整个的渊源也比较深厚一些。那作为川普，他呢，就即便是在共和党当中，他也是一个非常难以捉摸、难以预测、难以控制的这样的一个人。而且在他任期当中呢，也确实是表现出了这样的一个特点。那这一方面呢，应该讲对中共来说就很头疼，特别是在2018年，就是川普总统当时他启动的对中共的贸易打击，可以说是美国以至于全球开始对中共形成了一个今天这样的一个态势的一个起点。那个时候当然有可能是因为中共是没有预料到这个当时成为这样川普总统的这样的一个下手的一个点。那么再有一个呢，就是习近平本身他的浑横很蠢的个性，他完全就是那种硬碰硬的胡来的那种风格呢，他根本在那个时候无法去有一个更好的回应，就完全失控了。所以说一步演变，当然后来也有这个中共的病毒COVID-19 在全球泛滥这个影响。那现在呢，整个世界应该说主要的自由民主国家对中共有了一个非常全新的认识，而这一点呢，在5年之前、6年之前几乎是不可想象的。那个时候，绝大多数的国家都争着要跟中共做什么战略伙伴关系，然后呢，不仅仅是对他的这样的一种支持、包容、宽容，甚至很大的程度上是一种纵容。而这种情况呢，当然对很多民主国家内部的政治也产生了深刻的影响，包括比如说对加拿大在2019、2021年。中共深入的介入了加拿大的联邦大选，而且甚至呢，这个出25万就要去收买11个候选人。那这种事情当然对加拿大也是一个就是当头一棒。当这个消息出来之后，那么现在呢，应该说民主党很可能是贺锦丽成为最主要的一个被大家所风推出来的一个人物，来接替拜登的这个职务。那么我相信呢，他应该不会有太多的新的东西，或者是自己的东西。我们在过去的这几年所看到的，应该讲呢， 或者说从贺锦丽整个的执政历史上呢，几乎看不到很多他在国际上的这种作为，或者说在国内在这个联邦层面上的作为啊，那当然是之前在加州它有一定的它的这个历史上的一定的影响力。那么在这一点，所以说呢，他很可能就是继承拜登总统的这个总统任内的这些政策法规以及他的风格。那么在这一点上呢，也许中共就至少觉得，反正呢，我知道你大概其会怎么样啊，或者说呢，而且贺锦丽他毕竟他是一个少数族裔，他又是一个非常就是在这个领域啊有非常领先的这样的一个先锋的人物。那么跟整个现在这样的一个国际上的一个大势、国际风潮、国际的这种意识形态也非常的吻合。所以说呢，也很可能接下来就是贺锦丽和川普之间的这样的一个竞争，而这种竞争对中共来说呢，当然是有他所不能够去把握的地方，但是实际上呢，他应该说更加会希望贺锦丽能够成功。
Okay, so that's her view, and I think many people share her view. As far as the Chinese dissidents living in this country, I think that's very well said in 4 minutes. So between late July and early August, top CCP leaders and some high officials are expected to go to Beidaihe, their summer retreat homes, right? And that's where power negotiations and struggles among various political factions. But I should say there are only two factions now, the Xi Jinping faction and then the anti-Xi Jinping faction. There aren't that many other factions left. They all have consolidated. So it's one faction against everyone else. So these power negotiations will take place in informal settings. Joe Biden's withdrawal and the death of Vietnamese leader against the backdrop of Xi's possible health issues have definitely made Xi Jinping's summer plan on the beach less enjoyable, as he needs to exert more strength to convince people that he has a plan, right? Or even trying to hold on to power. So I think more will come out at the Beidaihe meeting in a few weeks. So tighten your seatbelt and stay tuned. That's all I'll have for tonight. Let's see. Let's see what people have for me. Oh my goodness, these lights are very warm. Let me see what questions do I have. All right, well, I see quite a number of super stickers. I thank you guys in advance. Let me see what questions do I get. Oh, it is warm. Did I miss some? What was the first one? Oh, boy. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. Timothy Hall. Well, thank you, Tim. Okay, right underneath, I have a question or a comment from Mitsu. If we believe that is not a body double of Xi, and the writing on the right is real, I actually wonder now about the stroke rumor. I'm thinking about fine motor skills. So you don't, yeah, I mean, I don't believe it's a body double either. I think it was a real rumor crafted it was crafted and timed perfectly against the possibility of Joe Biden's, quitting the campaign, because that has been in the news for quite a while, and also they probably knew the Vietnamese leader was dying, so it was, somebody crafted the rumor, and so that it obviously has a tremendous psychological burden on Xi Jinping. Tao Yongli. Oh, thank you, Tao. Thank you. Scipio africanus. Well, thank you. Thank you. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. All right. Let's see. Is that all? Boy Kachana, I won't be suffering from Biden withdrawal. I think not a lot of people will suffer from that. Although, the process is convoluted. I'm not really saying whether, he should or should not withdraw, but there's flaw in the process because it's not fair to other leaders or politicians in the Democratic Party, because this process is flawed. So this process is definitely has problem, and they're stuck with that problem. All right. So that seems to be all. That's all the super stickers I got. Right? Yeah. All right. Okay. Alex, Chinese people in China do not know what is election. We need to bring hope to the Chinese people. Well, I think they do. They intentionally asked that question. That question was it was intentional, just so that people start talking about what election is. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. That seems to be all. I'll end it early today. Okay. I thank you everyone for joining me. I thank everyone who have given me super stickers. It's just that it's too warm. I should turn down the AC. I should turn down the temperature. So I'll end it here. I'll see you later in the week. Bye-bye.